there's a line I've been noticing a lot of people have been having some issues with, the fucking Cap Steez Johnny Shipes
Steve,
line.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I heard that line and like it stopped me in my tracks and I ran the whole song back again. I was like, I like couldn't believe he said that. It really like it really just hit me because you know like like a lot of people have issues with Mach bringing up the whole, like Steve's killing himself, jumping off the building. I have a lot of feelings about that, but but like I think the intent has kind of been misconstrued by a lot of people because the line is clearly about Johnny Shipes and Cinematic Music Group taking advantage of Capital Steez's legacy and making money with, like, because like we all got on Troy Ave when Troy Ave was
Yeah,
going crazy about
he was
Steez,
dissing
maybe
Capital
like what,
Steez,
like
Troy
4 or
Ave,
5.
yeah. Right.
I missed that. What'd you
Oh,
say?
sorry. I was just gonna say because Troy Ave was dissing Capital Steez. He was like dissing the dead. Yes, yeah. Very different. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. That was explicit, and this was just like he was just kind of using that illusion to just like kind of put a fine point on it. And like I get people having issues with that, but this is clearly his gripe is clearly with the way Shipes and Cinematic Music Group have kind of taken his legacy, and just like the way he managed, like he just finessed it. And like the one part that people were forgetting was the part where he said wait a minute, I have the line here. I just want to make sure I get it right. I spelled his name wrong.
I'm pretty sure that.
Yeah.
I,
My man said, "Picture niggas reaping the benefits off Mach-Hommy hype, trying to see capital out the steez like Johnny Shipes." Like it's very clear what he's trying to say, and people are forgetting that first part of that line. So like, of course, if you only include the part where he's talking about Steez, unfortunately killing himself, like it's gonna look crazy, but like that's why context is important. That's why context is important. And then just
look at the whole bar. I was just saying,
Yeah,
we gotta
you
look at the
kinda
whole
cut
bar.
out.
We gotta look at the whole bar. That was all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, I think.
Yeah, totally. And
go ahead, Dylan. I was just gonna say, like I think Steez's name, especially in music, because he was such like a beloved person and artist. Because like Steez's name,
Right.
people hear it and it's kind of like a trigger word. Like they almost immediately are like, "That's out of pocket." If it's Steez's name, it's out of pocket. But yeah, I think with the context, it's like, and of course, like I'm not qualified to say this at all, but I feel like Steez probably would have agreed with what Mach-Hommy was saying in that line. Like, they are fucking taking advantage of. Steez was so anti-establishment and so like, especially when it came to the music industry, and like to see that kind of shit going down with his name, I'm sure Steez probably would have felt that bar. But
yeah, and then on top of that, like Dev was saying, like the wordplay is just crazy. Like I really wish I had written everything down, just like the the line about LASIK and man, I'm forgetting everything I wanted to say now. But just like Mach was barred the fuck out on that whole fucking song, son. Like,
what was the bar that?
Wow.
I mean, I don't think that was that track, but what was the? I mean, that you could be saying that about every track on this thing. That's the thing that Mach-Hommy. Honestly, that's why he is a low key like top 10 rapper right now for me, because the dude is like, he's literally just spitting some of the craziest punchlines and acting like it's nothing, like just moving right on.
Yeah,
it's like the way he raps, like so many people would build up to that and they just like let it breathe for a second. He's just off to another one like immediately after, and the whole album is just like rambling like crazy. But it was the one that I think it was Ethan sent in the group chat about like the spitting braggadocious, like put the 38 in your mouth, spit your magnum opus. That shit is
opus.
Like, and he doesn't even like let that sit for a sec. He's just like, I said it. Next one. Yeah.
And like the crazy part about this album is that it's probably the most direct he's ever been with the bars, because Mach-Hommy is always someone like cryptic, I feel like is the wrong word, but like his stuff is very like abstract. Like he raps very like he almost reminds me of somebody like a Billy Woods, just in the way that he's very like like his stuff is like very open to
Hmm.
interpretation, and he's like really he's like really loose and fluid with the language.
Yeah.
But here he's just like direct. It's just like punchline raps, like
Yeah.
more than I've ever heard him do.
Mhm.
Like, and he he really had like this feels like a statement album in that way. Like he's like I'm not going over your head. Like you're gonna know exactly
Yeah.
what the fuck I'm
Yeah.
talking about right now.
Hey, he came
Like
down
this,
from the mountain.
like,
He came down from the mountain.
right.
Yeah.
See, yeah, and like, and like one of my favorite moments on this whole shit was when like I forget what song it was again, but he was like he just said like I ain't even gonna tell you what Jigga told me,
Yeah.
like because
Yeah.
just like because like it goes back to the picture of the two of them at the Rock Nation brunch, and just like considering how considering how like gigantic his just considering how wide his influence has gotten, because like you go and listen to some of Jay's verses on the Jay Electronica album, A Written Testimony, and like he's clearly studying Mach-Hommy.
Hmm.
Like that's a flex. Like
Mhm.
Jay is like you got one of like the most influential rappers on the planet like studying your music.
Yep.
It's a flex.
Yeah.
Like you like who's telling you anything at that point? That's Jersey's finest.
That's a great
Mach-Hommy is
point.
Jersey's
Yeah.
finest.
I couldn't
For
be
real.
happier that they met. I couldn't be happier that Jay-Z fucks with Westside Gunn, Griselda in general, and specifically Mach-Hommy too. That's like
Mm.
so important to me. I'm gonna revise my take from earlier here and say I think as a personal fan of Mach-Hommy, this album lives up to everything that I was kind of hoping for. However, I think with this album coming along, I really want to share it with other people. I kind of want to take a moment to, if someone doesn't really know very much about Mach-Hommy, I think this might be a good album to get into. But there are moments in here that I do think, you know, I think like there are moments in here that I think are really great for newer fans, and I think there are other moments in here that really play to the standards that Griselda has always set, or he has always set, in the way that some of this stuff is a bit of an acquired taste for certain hip hop listeners. And I think I kind of hoped that with like maybe certain songs in here. Yeah, I just don't. I think I would like pick out certain songs from here and show them to other people more than I would maybe tell somebody to run the whole album, basically.
Interesting.
But you know, now that I'm looking back through it, it's like again, 26 Letter, I love Mackerel Jackson, I love Stellar Ray Theory, I love Criminal, I loved, and I love that there was
Beautiful.
like a hook in there on that. I love the use of his language to kind of give this a different shade. Murder Season is great. The beat, like you said, the like really relentless rapping of Magnum Brand, a song that was very appropriate to not have any hook, to just go right through bar after bar. I love that. Come Down from the Mountain. I'm gonna just talk to y'all like a regular, but superior rap artist. And the God Fahim's verse in there too. Great. Glad Fahim
Fahim
is
went
on
nuts.
here. Fit that beat really well. Really enjoyed again all the skits, and especially the Creole skit that kind of talks about how the language is evolving and all the regional colloquialisms, or just the lived language that is Creole in different places. Thought that was interesting. Au revoir, I thought was awesome. Blockchain, I wasn't the biggest fan of, and the closer I thought landed a little soft, but yeah, there are definitely so many high points in this for me.
I really love Blockchain. Like I really can't think of any songs on here. Well, I mean, like, granted, I've only heard the album maybe about 1.5 times, but like my first listen, I was like, oh, there's like no, like I don't want to call it a perfect album, but there weren't any songs that I was like, oh, this doesn't really need to be here. This could have been cut. Like it felt like, especially considering that it's like 39 minutes, it's 16 songs. Like it's a pretty brisk project, which is always kind of like deceptive, because like you look at something that's 16 tracks and it's like, oh, this is actually kind of short.
Yeah,
um
yeah. Most songs are under
but
3 minutes.
and like the interesting thing about like you saying that it's more accessible, or like I don't know if you said that specifically, but that's kind of, I feel like that's kind of what you're getting at. Like I think that's dope, because my first impression when I listened to this, especially with Gunn being on some of the songs, was this sounds a lot like Only Built for Cuban Links. Like it
Mm.
kind of gave me that feeling of like it's Mock's album, in the same way that Cuban Links is Raekwon's album, but like Ghost is there.
Yeah.
You know, like Gunn is there. Like he
Yeah.
pops in for a verse or two, some ad libs, and it also kind of like I was saying, I brought up Written Testimony before. Like all three of those albums have the same kind of vibe to me, with like the
Someone's
like
album.
kind of sort of tag
and-
team shit, low
yeah.
key, like kind of on that type of shit. And I appreciate that energy. It's you know, like, not to say that Mach is an artist that like it's kind of like he sounds good no matter what, but it's really cool to see him just kind of like bounce off other people, because he doesn't do that super often. He usually kind of sticks to himself unless he's doing a feature.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that, and I just think that he and Gunn make a great team. And you know, like Gunn, like he EP'd the album, and you know, he makes a big deal about being this curator, and he should, because he's incredible at putting albums
Great
together.
at it.
Yeah.
He's got such a good ear for beats, and like he just knows who fits on what. And it's
Yeah.
funny because a lot of people just call Gunn a glorified A&R because of that, and I don't think that's fair, because I love Gunn.
Nah,
Like,
definitely not. Great
people
rapper
are
on
so
top
rude,
of it.
son.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.